minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Yes, I agree, Rick Regan. How about that? Welcome to a brand new week, everybody. It is the RP Show, episode number 1757, coming your way. Silver State Sports, Game Plus, streaming, YouTube Live, podcast, WQVZ, a variety of platforms for us to infect your mind. Mitchell Scruffy Blair joining me in seconds. Jared Dumba from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family is going to be with us for one last hockey chat with Jared and maybe any analyst here because it's officially summer. And, and a lot of fun. We got the viewers all chiming in. I'll say this, Scruffy, I was with Jared last night when the Stanley Cup Game 6 ended, officially signaling the end of the hockey season. He's like, well, time for nothing. For people that only follow hockey, kind of a sad night last night. How about you?
Thank goodness it's over.
Ooh.
We have talked about this before. It's what, June 15th? It's the earliest the Stanley Cup has been handed out in the last 3 years. But, you know, it was time. Like, I just, the Stanley Cup playoffs, once your team has been eliminated, or if your team doesn't make it, the draw just isn't there. And it's a tough watch trying to watch the games at the end when it's so nice outside. Yes, it hasn't been exactly the greatest summer in Saskatchewan so far, but I watched, but did I make it appointment viewing? Did I say I have to watch this? No. I didn't.
Well, of
And I
course,
switched last night.
Mhm.
I switched
It's
last
Canada.
night between that and a college baseball game. So,
Okay. So it's Canada. Everybody's watching, and this is the warm up here. It's a quick segment, as everybody knows, brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. So here's what we're talking about. The Hurricanes held Vegas to 5 total goals in games 4 and 5 and used a suffocating defense in a 3-0 shutout Sunday night in game 6 to win their first championship in 20 years. We're all happy for Rod Brindamore. It's the fortress seemed like a tomb as I was watching the game last night with Jared Dumba and Mike Lee and Perry Nice. It was because it was on the road and blah, blah, for Carolina, right? So, yeah, I mean, hockey season's behind us, but it's, as far as that series went, you said you've been watching all the games. What a dud, really, of a game, And, yeah, for the Vegas haters, I guess they're happy. I guess the hockey gods didn't want them to win in the end, Scruffy.
no, they didn't. But let's give a lot of credit to the Carolina Hurricanes because what game was it where they lost in double overtime? Game 4?
Yeah.
Yes. From the third period of game 4 until the time that Gary Bettman gave the cup to Jordan Stahl, the Carolina Hurricanes absolutely smothered the Vegas Golden Knights. And that game last night, Roddy, that was a clinic as to how to play the game the right way. That defense for Carolina, and I know we talked about this a long time ago, that defensive unit for the Hurricanes just would not allow any opportunities. And when they did, Brandon Bussey was there to shut the door. And that save that he made on Thomas Hertl with about, 2 minutes left when he was on his butt? You don't know how things end because Carolina's going to pull the goaltender. But what a clinic by the Hurricanes.
Oh, yeah,
and Eichel by the Hurricanes. 16
and Eichel
3.
misses. Right, Eichel misses the net on the power play. It just wasn't going to be their night. So, but there's a few things on this before we go to break and we flip the page and we'll look at summer sports, including the CFL and some World Cup. But you mentioned Brandon Bussey. I watched him in camp with the Florida Panthers. I mentioned he stood out to me because he's a southpaw. And when he got released by the Panthers or whatever they did, put him on waivers, whatever it was, I don't know what his attitude was. Do you think he thought when he was cut in September that he was going to end up winning the Stanley Cup and starting game 6 with Carolina? Like, what a message there is in there to keep going, keep your head up, because you literally never know. And our poll, sorry, you going to say something?
I was just going to say, and here's another thing when it comes to Brandon Bussey, okay? What does it say for 31 other teams in the NHL when it comes to their scouting system? When not one of them, and we know there are a lot of teams that had goaltending problems this year, not one of them thought to bring this guy in, but yet the Carolina Hurricanes, who already had Freddie Anderson and had a pretty good guy in Kochetkov, thought, you know what, let's give this guy a shot and see what happens. Look how that turned out.
Well, like I said, I hope people can back up and look at that big picture. And just in the case of like Brandon Bussey, you're cut in Florida. Who knows where you're going to go next? And you end up winning the Stanley Cup and starting game 6. That's unbelievable. Our poll question, now would be the time to bring it up. One last hockey poll question for Country Thunder, the biggest party this summer, coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, Country Thunder. Should the Vegas Golden Knights bring back John Tortorella next season? I addressed it in my column this morning. I said, if he wants to come back, I would bring him back because he's 67. Who knows if he still wants to or not? That's me. I would bring him back. Some numpty said, he didn't win the Stanley Cup. This was a failure. No, they were going to lose in the first round if Cassidy was still there. So, no, this was not a failure for Tortorella or the Golden Knights. That's my opinion. What's yours?
If John wants to come back, that's fine, but it sounds like the Knights don't want to bring him back. It sounds like they want to bring up their guy from Henderson, from their
Ryan
AHL
Craig?
affiliate. Yes, that's his name. Thank you. And you know what? If I'm John, you see the way that the Knights do business. And you saw the way they got rid of Cassidy. What's not to say that they wouldn't do that with him? And I don't, as you said, John is 67. maybe we've seen the last of him. Who knows? I know there's talk that if he gets cut free, that maybe he gets into the Edmonton mix, the Toronto mix. That would be just delicious to see that in Toronto. But I think, yeah, like if John wants to come back, and there'll be conversations that'll be had, I don't know why the Knights wouldn't bring him back, because obviously that short sample size that we saw, he got that team to where Bill Foley and George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon wanted them to be, and where a lot of people thought they should have been.
So that's a poll question. The majority's saying yes, they should bring him back. Here's another fun question. You can percolate on this in the break. Who will be the next Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup? I believe that it will happen. People are writing into our Facebook page because I asked that question on Facebook. They're like, it's never going to happen anyway, so it doesn't matter. I refuse to believe that. So people think on that in the break. You can write in on the text line 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge, or the YouTube chat. And we'll flip the page over to CFL, NBA Finals, MLB, World Cup. We're just getting rolling on the RP show.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show. When we talk hockey, it's for the Mad Greek. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs everyone is talking about? Check them out at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. I said before the break which Canadian NHL team will be the next to win the Stanley Cup. I agree with those that say Montreal. Who do you think it is, Mitch?
Well, when you take a look at rosters, you've got to look at Montreal and the young talent they have and the cap space they have so they can even get better. You can never count Edmonton out with 97 and 29 in the lineup, but I don't think that they're going to be a team that will win next year. I think the Winnipeg Jets, with the talent they have an opportunity, but they need to fill some holes as well. After that, Vancouver's not going to do it anytime soon. Calgary's at least 2 or 3 years away. Ottawa, they made some strides this year, but I just don't think that they're ready to make that jump yet. And Toronto's still a garbage fire.
So you're saying?
You have to go with Montreal.
Okay.
You have to, just because of their young talent, as I said.
Kevin the Medium has checked in.
Winnipeg to me.
Kevin the Medium has checked in. He says, Kevin the Medium says the Canucks will be the next Canadian team. Stop laughing. It isn't that funny. That's from Kevin the Medium. Okay, I'll get to the order coaching thing with Mitch a little later on because we got so many things to get to. Point 2 of the Quick Six show topics here. CFL Week 2. Here are the games. Hamilton went into Winnipeg and won 37-27, ruined Chris Streveler retirement night. Friday night, Montreal beat Toronto 37-30 in Montreal, despite Chad Kelly throwing for 445 yards and 3 tuds for the Argos. And then Saturday, Scruffy and I were both there. Riders beat BC 31-27 in a hell of a football game, I thought. I spent a lot of time with the BC Lions. I'm going to thank them right now for the invite and the ticket to go. I met their whole staff. I was down at the hotel with them on the day. I met their team doctor, Bob, who was wearing orange and white BC Lions shoes. And they're like, "Oh, Rod, this is the team doctor." I'm like, "Hi, Bob. I'm Rod Pedersen." He goes, "Oh, I know who you are." I got the sense he'd been with the team for a very long time. A very good vibe going around with the BC Lions. But what that game showed with the Riders winning 31-27, Mitch, is that the Riders are still big brother in that rivalry between BC and Sask.
Roddy, that was a carbon copy of the Western Final, and I think you and I talked about this last week when I was on. I thought that was a game that could come right down to the end again. Where that game, to me, was decided was the first quarter. Because BC was just spinning their wheels in the first quarter, and the Riders came out, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. And I'm sorry, I don't care if it's week 1 or the Grey Cup or the Super Bowl or the National Championship. When you let a team score a touchdown when the drive starts on the 1-yard line, that's just so demoralizing. And give BC credit because they came back and made a game of it and took the lead. But that 109-yard drive, man, if anybody thought, oh, has Trevor Harris aged any? No, he hasn't. I said, and I'll say it again, and you can say it with a lot of teams, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will go as far as what number 7 takes them. He took them to the title last year. He can do it again this year.
This voice in my head just blared, PEDs, when you said Trevor Harris. I think it was the devil on this shoulder. It's not the angel on this. He's not on PEDs. He's got God on his side. It's better. But Trevor Harris looks better than he ever has. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you looked at the stats after, his quarterback rating was 147.6. That's almost perfect. And Nathan Rourke on the other side was 93.3. And so I'll say this. I talked to Neil Chark over the weekend from Uniglobe Carefree Travel. He's like, hey, we got to get this cruise sold out. So I'll say it right now. Score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale February 20th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Kevin the Medium's going to be on it. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Carefree Travel out of Vancouver, the official travel partner of the RP Show and the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke, how did you feel about his play? 93.3 QBR. He was okay, but he was out-quarterbacked in the game. I'm still waiting to see that he's all
I
that.
agree with that, but again, I'm just going to say this. if you take the first quarter out of the equation, the BC Lions were better offensively than what the Riders were. And that's not taking anything away from the Riders. It was just that they got involved in one of those CFL slugfests that we know about. The Riders win the game, and they win the game because they had their offense clicking right from the first drive. If BC does that and marches down the field a couple of times to start the game, Roddy, that might have been very close to that Saskatchewan-Montreal overtime game we had back in 2010.
I know, and that's what's fun about sports is the discussion, but you can't take the first quarter off. It's a 60-minute game.
Right.
You can't take it off. Right.
Exactly.
So the Riders are far better, and we have some wonderful comments coming in from the viewers on all the games and more on the hockey stuff. Vancouver Eric writes in, he says, the Lions defense, we've seen this movie before. Did you think their D was that bad? I mean, it's only one game. You did?
Yep.
What didn't you like about it?
I thought their schemes were terrible. And I thought Chris Strevler did a great job in breaking it down on Twitter. And if you go back, if you don't follow Chris on Twitter, he breaks down the last touchdown by Sam Emelis. Like, what are you doing, BC? What are you doing in that situation? So,
well, then, so they have a beef.
I didn't think the Lions defense did a very good job at all, especially on that last drive. Which I will say, and there's a lot of people, the Riders got lucky on that overturned call, interference call. Because like a couple of people in my section said that's like the old Dave Dickinson days where you just tell the receiver to run into the defensive back and then hope for the flag.
It worked.
But
it worked.
It worked. Yeah, absolutely it worked.
Kirk in Toronto writes,
that,
he says,
when
hey,
it
Rod.
happens against the Riders, though, because it will.
Of course. All of it does even out. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, the Argonauts' pass defense was a joke. Phil Pott shredded them. That's the thing. If you're Chad Kelly, you throw for 445 yards and 3 touchdowns, and you lose. I put that in my column. It reminded me of Henry Burris, early 2000s. We were losing games 51-50. Henry's like, I was with them after. He's like, what do I have to do? It's probably where Chad Kelly's at. But I guess we all get so wound up in these early games. But I will say, everybody's tinkering. Everybody's, some teams think they're all that. Montreal's 2-0. Maybe they are all that. But the Riders looked like a Swiss watch to me. Like for coming out week 1, wow. They look pretty tight in all 3 phases.
I agree. I completely agree. Of all the teams that I've seen, like when you take a look at the games last week, and then you see the teams that debuted this week, I think the Riders were the best team overall.
Oh, yeah. Right. And so BC goes back to the drawing board, and they now have a week off. No, sorry, they don't. There's 4 games. I'm not sure who's got the bye. BC's at
Hamilton, don't they?
Friday. Yeah, sorry, Friday. And then a Saturday triple header. Toronto at Ottawa, Montreal at Edmonton, Sask at Calgary. Cue the bitching, because I was just thinking the standard, why aren't they playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Frankly, that would suit my life a lot better. Why aren't they doing it what I would like? But Saturday, it's a triple header. I'm not sure we're ready to look ahead to the weekend games just yet. Vancouver Eric writes in and goes, RP, any thought on why offenses are beating up defenses early in the season? I thought the exact same thing, because that's not supposed to be a thing. All I can think about is a few things. The continuity of the personnel and then the coaching staffs. Who's got new staffs and where? You know what I mean? There's no excuse in my mind for BC's defense being as bad as it was, but all of these games, the offense is not supposed to be this far ahead this time of year. It never is. I don't really have an answer for it either.
I think the quarterback play has a lot to do with it. We're seeing a lot of guys that are very experienced. But I do agree with you, though, because, when you take a look at and this is more so in the NFL than the CFL, but the number 1 guys don't get a lot of reps in the preseason for obvious reasons. But at least guys like Trevor Harris and Zach Collaros and Bo Levi Mitchell and Davis Alexander, they got some reps in during the preseason, whereas some NFL quarterbacks, you don't see them in the preseason unless they're sitting on the bench with their hat on. And then when their team comes out of the gate and they struggle, and people go, well, what's that all about? Well, that's because they're not getting any reps. They're not out there when the bullets are flying. And that's their preseason. But, yeah, I just think that, that with the continuity at the quarterback position, and you can just roll on from one season to the next. And you talk about the OCs and, Mark Mueller, who obviously called a tremendous game on Saturday. That's the same playbook. Ouellette, Emelish, Johnson, KSB.
It's continuity. Personnel.
Continuity.
Oh,
yep.
Did you mention Ouellette right in the backfield? Jeremy in Winnipeg writes that he says, Rod, did you get tickets to the game from the Lions and not the Riders? Yeah, that's a fact. And I'm not, out of respect for the Lions, I'm not going to explain how that all has gone down. I did put it in my Monday morning goalie column at rodpedersen.com if you want to read it, but people need to just back off on this whole thing, okay? They need to back off on this whole thing. I've been saying for months, we've forged a nice relationship with the BC Lions. They're great guys. The owner, Amar Doman, likes this show. So they extended the invite to come to the game. They sent me a ticket, so I was there. Me thanking them is not a slap in the face to the Roughriders. So people need to pull their head out of their ass when it comes to that. I love the CFL. And listen, I hadn't planned to go to the game. I said I'm supposed to be calling baseball that night, a doubleheader. But the Lions asked me to. Going back into that stadium stirs up a lot of feelings in me. Probably does a little bit for you too, Mitch. That was not my plan. But the Lions extended an invite, and I want to support the league. I love it, and I had a great time. Thank you, BC Lions. What it is with the Riders is what it is. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know, and it doesn't matter. I don't know why
Roddy,
it's a big deal. This.
I just want to say this, and I know that there was some stuff that was put up on the Facebook page after, all that. There are some people that cheer for the Saskatchewan Roughriders that simply need to take their head out of their ass and figure it out. Because what you just said was right. Like, what are you supposed to do? Oh, no, I'm not going to take your ticket. No, thanks. And you're right. The Saskatchewan Roughriders could offer you a ticket. That didn't happen. It might happen as the season goes along. We don't know. But Amar Doman offered you a ticket, and you accepted it. And if there are people that cheer for the green and white that don't like that, well, you can take it and shove it up your you-know-what. And that goes not just for you, but anybody. And I saw some people, they all talk about Rider fans and how gracious they are. I saw some people cheering for BC that were just abused on Saturday. So don't give me your holier-than-thou, we're great attitude. Because you're not. And that's the same for every fan base in this league.
Every fan base in sport. But Jeff in Winnipeg
Yes.
writes in, he says, RP is a CFL fan, folks. Get over it. LOL. Like I said, my plan was to not go to the game. I haven't been to a game in years. Just because I had other things to do. I have moved on. But the Lions see an opportunity with this show. As Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, Amar Doman has some pull around the league. Oh, yes, he does. Carlos in Indiana says, if the Lions are good to Rod, why wouldn't Rod be good to the Lions? There's a whole lot of respect factor there. Jeremy says, boys, I don't care. I'm just asking. No, it's not. I know you are, Jeremy, but it became a big deal around here on the weekend. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean, Brody, and the Recklaws teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right. Welcome back. Producer Corey. I made myself smile, which made him laugh, which made me smile. That's good. That's good. I needed it on this Monday. Scruffy's here. We could do the formalities with the regular quick six show topics, like reading the scripts of them all, but that's not as much fun. Last point on this, because I don't want to waste any more of Scruffy's time. Wayne in BC says, I really don't understand Riders fans who don't want Rod going to a Rider game because it came from the BC Lions owner. Wayne, it doesn't make sense. We all need to understand something. We need to stop thinking about it because it doesn't make sense why they would be upset about that. So let's move on. Scruffy, did you watch the Knicks win it all like I did Saturday night, the NBA championship?
Yeah, I saw the very end of it. And it's funny because I've been watching this morning. Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs did not shake hands. Wembanyama put up the three-pointer. He missed it. Zoop, off the court. Knicks celebrate. And a lot of people are going, yeah, well, that's fine. Why does he need to shake their hand? And then 24 hours later, you see the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights shaking hands after a physical series. And people saying that, you know, they don't need to shake hands in the NBA. Why? They got beat. Walk off the court. This just shows me the difference between the NBA and the NHL, Rod. It's a respect thing. It's
the NHL's
respect. And there are some of the NBA that I just don't think even know how to spell that word, much less know what it means. But great for the Knicks. 53-year drought. The Cubs did it. The Knicks did it. The Riders did it. Where we go back to, from 89 to 07. It means that someday the Leafs will do it, but I hope that's a long ways away.
Thank you for that. And by the way, you bring up the NHL versus the NHL is different than all of the leagues. The respect is still there, and I think it will always be. It's left the other leagues. They used to all be like that. And the NHL has a code.
Yeah, I think in the NFL, when a game is over, you still see the guys, for the most part, the quarterbacks finding one another and this and that. You don't obviously have the handshake with 53 guys, but yeah, I was just very shocked to see the Spurs, especially the guy that they think is the face of the NBA, in Victor Wembanyama, the future face, just basically going, yeah, I'm done. See you, bye.
I know, but listen, I don't need to get canceled any more than I already have, but Connor McDavid not coming out to accept the Conn Smythe after Game 7 in Sunrise, everybody gave him a pass because it was Connor McDavid. That was not cool. But at least that was the way that went. That was the take of people everywhere outside of Edmonton. So I don't know. I mean, has any teams ever had a handshake line? Any leagues had a handshake line like the NHL? It's kind of their thing, right?
Not like a organized one, no. And I think they do it in the American Hockey League, and I think they do it in the Western Hockey League. I don't know if they did it in the Memorial Cup. I don't think they did.
So a hockey thing. It's a hockey thing.
Right, it's a hockey thing. But I just think that, there's a respect factor in football. There's a respect factor in baseball. And yeah, you don't see handshakes in baseball, but I know there's a lot of guys that will, underneath the stands, underneath the dugouts, go and congratulate. But basketball and hockey, the complete difference between that, it's like night and day.
Well, and that crappy year, NBA ratings were down. The NHL was beating them all year, and they come out and have a fabulous finals. Like it was a dominant performance by the Knicks, but the ratings were sky high. I think the playoffs were pretty cool in the NBA. Arlen Bruce checks in. He says, I actually enjoyed everything over the weekend. CFL, FIFA, NBA, NHL. I really enjoyed seeing the young Phil Pott for the Owls. Spoke with his dad at the BC alumni event. What a great kid. Oh, they are fantastic people. I enjoyed it all too, but there's a limit. Like they were fighting on the lawn at the White House last night. Like I kind of knew that it was going on, but I wouldn't have known where to tune it in. Like at some point you need to draw the line, and I didn't follow it. Did you?
To me, they desecrated the grounds of the White House when doing that last night, but I'm not going to get into that. I just don't think you do that. You don't put an outdoor hockey game at the White House. You don't play a football game at the White House on the lawn. And I just think that was a major mistake. But Dana White and Donald Trump are buddies, so go ahead and do it.
And buddy, you're watching it all from Canada. Try living in the middle of it.
Oh, I can well imagine. I saw some of the comments last night about stuff and leading into it on Saturday because they had some things. Whew.
But it's all day, every day, that. Three-ring circus with this administration. Ryan McCarthy checks in from upstate New York. He says the Spurs had double-digit leads in every game in the NBA Finals and blew every one of them. They melted faster than an ice cream cone in the Texas sun. Yes, but they will be back. They're young. I mean, I'm following the story enough of this. Jalen Brunson's been around a long time. There's a good Mike Brown's been around, the coach, for a very long time. All my friends in New York, they're all hockey guys. They really don't like that president, James Dolan. To see him handed the trophy gritted a lot of people's teeth. I don't know the guy. I'm just going by what my friends say, and I shouldn't. But whatever. The Knicks won. They're on top of the the sporting world. So, but the comebacks were a great story in that NBA Finals too. So they went out on a high. Would you not say the NBA season, despite some problems in the regular year?
The NBA, yeah, I would. And I think part of the reason for that is the storyline. You know, the Knicks, and we saw what happened in New York City Saturday night. 53-year drought comes to an end. I saw a headline on one of the sports sites on Sunday saying, did the New York Knicks save the NBA? I think that's a little much of a stretch, but it certainly had people talking about, let's just put it this way, Rod. Weeks ago, more people might have been talking about the NHL than the NBA in some parts of the U.S. I think today more people are talking about the NBA than the NHL.
No doubt.
Of the Knicks.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah.
Jeff in Winnipeg says the NHL does it right. Players get the cup first.
Yep.
I know you feel that way, and we've had this argument for years. But you've worked for teams. Do you not understand the presidents and the owners run the whole shebang? They run the whole shebang. And that's why they get the trophy.
I agree, but their performance or their franchises depend on the guys that they signed the checks for. And those guys should be the ones that bask in the glory right off the bat. And I hate it when the World Series is over and they give it to the owner of the Dodgers. Or when the Seahawks win the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl
and
too.
They give it to Paul Allen's daughter. Like, no. What the NHL does is right.
And it makes for far better iconic photos and memories. Like I'm not arguing with you. I totally see your point. But you can also see why they do it. Right? The commissioners know these are the guys buttering my bread.
Owners, they want to get, and I think some of these owners want to get their face in there. Like, you're going to tell me Jerry Jones would probably rip the Super Bowl out of the hands of Roger Goodell.
We're not going to have to worry about that. Anyways, we wouldn't know.
Point.
And that's coming from a Cowboys fan. But Jeremy in Winnipeg, he wanted to bring up some NFL stuff. I mean, that's every other league is literally every other league's playing right now except the NFL. But they had their OTAs going on. You know, and did you see any coverage coming out of that?
Very little.
But there is. Yeah, to be honest, I went to ESPN.com this morning, and it was an absolute tidal wave of NFL coverage, but that's what they do. It's ESPN. And I'm going to get to more of that next hour. To be honest, I'm oddly fascinated by the Raiders. I am. We can talk about this more tomorrow. Just the Cousins, Mendoza thing, the new coach, Tom Brady. Yeah, we air in Vegas. That's cool, too. I don't know if I'll ever move off the Cowboys, but I'm oddly fascinated by the Raiders. Are you? Probably not.
Nope.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you were.
I'm just interested to see how Mendoza does.
Yeah. Oh, we're all curious on that, for sure. But, I wouldn't mind going to a game there, and who knows, we probably will at some point. Okay, Mitchell.
Well, gee, I hope Cowboy fans don't get after you if the Raiders give you a ticket.
Don't start. Don't stir it up, Mitch. You rage baiter, as somebody calls you. You rage baiter. See you tomorrow.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a Monday. It's the RP Show. Thanks for joining us. The text line's open, 902-518-3033. What the hell? Let's throw the door on it open. Teeing up next hour, I will tell you that Jared Dumba is with us, and I will laugh at this again because last night we were at Pump Jack's Cathedral. Long-time, fantastic partner of ours, our hockey watching headquarters. And when the game was over, Jared stood up and goes, okay, hockey season's over. Time for, I don't know what. It's his whole life. So this is, frankly, the last day that we'll be discussing hockey. And because the Golden Knights were in the Stanley Cup final, it works well for hour two when we go to air Silver State Sports. But you know what? It's summer in Canada. And what else are we going to talk about right now? And I'm going to get to the rest of your comments here in a second. The text line's open, 902-518-3033. What else did I have? Just to get World Cup. I'm hosting this live stream on Thursday night. There's a lot of weird things going. There's a lot of weird things going on in my life right now. They're all good. They're just new. Like, why would some European crypto casino come to me and say, Rod, would you host a live stream for the World Cup? Sure. So we're doing that Thursday night. And I love the fact that so many of you viewers, the Rod Squad, are going to tune in and watch this Canada-Qatar game with us Thursday night. Moose is going to co-host with me from Los Angeles. Moose and I are going to host this live stream Thursday night with the World Cup. I'm going to save more World Cup talk for hour two. That's one. We already talked about the Knicks winning. That was point 3. MLB, the Yankees won 8-3 at the Blue Jays. That's point 4. MLB. Blue Jays bullpen let them down again. What did I say? This is where my sports purview is, and I am a born and bred Canadian like the rest of you mostly. I know there's some Americans watching here right now, but what's our thing? NHL, CFL, now NFL, and Blue Jays when they're winning. And every time I look up, they're not winning. So I understand the mentality of the U.S. sports fans, particularly where my home is of South Florida. They follow the Panthers when they're winning. The rest of the time, it's Dolphins, Heat. It's People are the same wherever you go. Just rearrange the teams. And then this thing with the BC Lions owner, I knew that it would cause a crap storm when I put on Facebook a photo from the stadium and thank you, BC Lions, for the invitation. But it is what it is. I didn't do it to cause the crap storm. I did it out of respect for the Lions. And I'll say this. I mean, I didn't want to waste Scruffy's time on this, but I spent like a couple of hours with them at the team hotel. I know all those guys. Neil McAvoy, the assistant to the president, known him for 30-plus years. Dwayne Vino, the president, was on our show at Grey Cup when we did the show there a couple of years. The players, Buck Pierce, Nathan Rourke's been on this show. I know all those guys. And you have to understand something. There's nothing nefarious going on here at all. Like, talked with a lot with Bob Marjanovic, the voice of the BC Lions. He's not worried. I'm not coming after Bob's job. I like what I'm doing here in terms of being, I guess, an influencer, positive for the CFL. And Amar sees that. And to be honest, I will say they said that Amar was flying in. Stuff was flying around fast and furious in the lobby of the hotel, but I think they said that Amar was flying in just before the game on his jet. And as I was driving up Louvain, if you know, you know the terminology. I'm driving up Louvain to go to the game, and this 25-seat private jet comes in from the west, or as you're looking at it, hooks around. And I'm like, oh, they weren't joking. That must be the big man, Amar. And then the first thing I thought was, how grateful should I be that this guy actually likes me? That was the first thing that popped into my mind. And then I thought, well, I know the private gate into the back hangar back there. I could go welcome him. I could open the door, let him do his thing, Rod. So that's kind of how that all happened. So that's it. They wanted me around. They opened their doors to me, and I'm very grateful for that. And I just love CFL football, as do they. And they're like, let's do something. So here we are. Jeff in Winnipeg says, don't worry, Jays fans. My Red Sox will cushion the bottom of the AL East for you. Ryan in New York says, I've been fascinated with Canada since I was introduced to Wayne Gretzky. You can't do that on television. And the McKenzie brothers. Hey, neighbor. LOL. Well, that's the thing. That's why we stick in hour one to primarily Canadian sports for a lot of reasons. But it works. Ain't nobody spending as much time on the CFL as we are, especially in the summer. I mean, I love the league, but I'm just not going to in January sit here and talk about, do you think we'll ever expand? I won't do that. But in the summer when the games are on, I'll talk about it. John says, CFL players are the most available and approachable athletes in the world. I know firsthand. Oh, yeah, there was autograph seekers out there, and they were getting all their autographs. It was outside the hotel as the Lions guys were getting on the bus. I'm like, yeah, good for them. It's fun. Arland Bruce writes in. He says, hey, CFL fans, at least wait till Labor Day for the negative thought comments. It's only week 2, maybe week 3. The season will be very entertaining each week. These are professional football players. Well, I'll be honest with you. What did I talk about? We're all these sports, World Cup, MLB, NBA, Stanley Cup, UFL championship went down on Saturday. And it was such a, I want to say it was a blur, but it wasn't a blur of a weekend. It kind of was a blur. But nowhere, anywhere near a television screen that I was near was the UFL championship game on. The Louisville Kings won it. And I will, shameless plug for, has nothing to do with me, but the yahoo.com, yahoo.ca daily newsletter they send out every morning, they say it's Sports Center in an email. And that's literally what it is. That's where I learn all my stuff, is from this yahoo.ca newsletter. It has everything in it. And these days it's, you could choke a horse, the info that's in there. So it's like a buffet. Take what you like, leave the rest. 902-518-3033 is the number for our friends at Western Dodge. By the way, if you're watching on the streaming, please like, share, and comment. It helps us out a great deal. It's funny, by the way, I'm at the Golden Ticket Sports Center, and I'm not sure if you can hear the kids. There's, I was talking to Ryan Gottselig. He runs Gap Athletic Performance. Gottselig Athletic Performance, Gap. And he came in here, and he's like, big day today. We're doing athletic testing. I'm like, I got triggered. Went into a sweat. I hated that day. I hated that day as a young man. Just not. Some people really love it. I get it. I really hated it. Vintage Sasko writes in and says, hey, Reverend Rodney and Saint Scruffy, glad to see you both at Mosaic Stadium. Off topic, I completely underestimated how popular tailgating would be. If I had $1 for everyone that raved about it, I'd have $34.72. Enjoy the summer. Signed, Vintage Sasko. Here was my take on that, which you all don't see. I now have the perspective of having lived elsewhere and then coming in for 3 fabulous months in the summer. Didn't see one person bitching about the parking lot outside Mosaic Stadium or the Brand Center. Didn't see one complaint. This is the greatest thing ever. Just like Vintage Sasko said. But you're talking about a hockey game? Or going to the 6 ice rink over there? Bitch. But no, it's the Riders, so everything's great. Welcome to the rectangle. Chad writes in from Lethbridge on the Western Dodge text line. He says, how about the Energy City Cactus Rats? 3 years to get 150 people in for a ball game. Western Canadian Baseball League finally gave them an ultimatum of getting their facility open. Yeah, if you are into that, it's been a complete gong show up in Edmonton for the baseball team in our WCBL. Yeah, but it's a small group of people that are following that. It's a big story for a small group of people. John Ohm says, we can all agree that this is the best Canadian sports show. 8 years and running. And John says, yes, tailgating introduced to Rider Nation this year. It's a very, very big deal to the fans and the team and all the rest. I don't know why it took so long. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to getting out to Vancouver later this summer. I'm going out. I'll tell you, it's the game when the Riders are there, August 23rd. Out of respect for the BC Lions, I don't want to give you too much of the guts of our conversations, but I will say Amar was like, pick a game and come on out here. It's not new. Like the Vegas Golden Knights did that to me years ago. They were like, pick a couple games and come on down and we'll host you at our team hotel. And we did that. My brother went with me. And was a Golden Knights fan for a long time after that until I moved to Florida. And why would I be a Golden Knights fan there? But yeah, let's just say the smart teams do that type of thing. They don't do it with just me, but that's what's going on with BC, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I honestly cannot wait for that weekend. Oh, by the way, I see the people also, and they're not wrong. They're not complaining, but questioning this triple header in the Canadian Football League this Saturday. 9 hours is a lot of football. Now, nobody complains about it when it's the NFL, but there's a triple header. We got all week to look ahead to week 3 in the CFL. I think it's quirky too. We all like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I like it. But you know what? I got a lot of friends dying of cancer right now. I'm not too worried about the CFL schedule. Let's deal with it. Wayne in BC writes, and he says, Rod, you have always been a positive voice for the CFL, not to mention all sports. I thank you for keeping the RP show on the air for almost 8 years now. We're into the 8th year. Very hard to believe. Okay, hour 2 coming up. Jared Dumba will be with us. This has been fun. We'll be right back.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision A big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
It is a definite how about that. And I will say this, welcome to summer. Because for those of us who celebrate, there are two seasons. There's hockey season and then there's summer. And hockey season ended last night. We're going to be talking about it here on Silver State Sports, Game Plus streaming, and the variety of other platforms we're on, including WQVZ Radio. Hi, our hockey analyst, one of our hockey analysts, Jared Dumba, is going to be with us from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. He's coming up in the guest segment, brought to you by Prairie Panels. Yes, we welcome viewers across Las Vegas and Nevada on Silver State Sports here. Let's get right down to business. Quit Mickey Mouse, and every day we do the Quick Six Show topics brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the official travel partner of the RP Show and the CFL's BC Lions. I'll get to that CFL talk in a second because this is what the big story is for Golden Knights fans, frankly, Hurricanes fans, and hockey fans in general. Carolina held Vegas, point one here, the Quick Six Show topics, to just 5 total goals in games 4 and 5, and used a suffocating defense and a 3-0 shutout Sunday night in game 6 to win their first Stanley Cup in 20 years. Brandon Bussey, whose entrance late in game 3 helped turn around the series, had his first career playoff shutout for Carolina, stopping 22 shots. Jackson Blake had a goal and an assist, and Taylor Hall scored just 3:47 into the game to set the tone. Nikolai Ehlers added an empty netter, and I would like to quote Cactus Jack and say it all turned out nice again, but it didn't for the Golden Knights or their fans. So let's just put it in park for a sec. I'll get to as many of these topics in this opening segment of the warm-up today as I can. The rest I feel like are going to be pushed to later in the show. But as a guy that was over here cheering for Vegas in the series, a guy that was over here picking Vegas to win in the series, it was a dreadful hockey game. I don't really know what got into Vegas in Game 6 other than nothing. I was sitting with a bunch of guys at the Pump Jacks Cathedral, sports bar, lounge, whatever they want to, nightclub. We're watching the game, and we couldn't believe how Vegas couldn't get going. And Jared, who's coming up next, he was with me. And he goes, I don't know, I think Vegas should have started Aiden Hill in this game. And I'm like, what difference does it make? See that big goose egg beside VGK? They're not scoring any goals. They didn't come with any push. So, I mean, all the hockey people are talking about it, and I just felt like Vegas ran out of gas. And maybe the hockey gods in the end, because there weren't, in my mind, any crazy bounces in terms of goals, although there were some missed nets, but there weren't, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't Vegas's night. The last 3 games were not Vegas's night. So Carolina wins. They're worthy champions. But I'll say this, our poll question today, and I just wish that I could go by what I hear, but I know that I can't go by what I hear. I got to go from the horse's mouth. And when the Golden Knights either announce that they're going to bring John Tortorella back as head coach or they're not going to bring him back, I'm not going to listen to any of the conjecture that's out there on the future of the Golden Knights head coach. But anyways, the poll question is brought to you by our friends at Country Thunder. The biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP Show. Should the Vegas Golden Knights bring back John Tortorella next season as head coach? Now, there you go. Thank you, producer Corey. Can somebody update what the YouTube vote is? And if you're watching on the streaming, whether it be Game Plus or our own YouTube channel, tell me what the result of the vote is. Because very, very, very early on, 100% of respondents said yes, the Golden Knights should bring John Tortorella back. Again, 2026 has been an interesting year. It's been a fantastic year. But one thing that I've been doing this year is staying off social media because there's just so much crap out there. Just idiots. You should have to pass an IQ test to get a Twitter account. You don't have to pass an IQ test to have a baby or get a Twitter account. But somebody said this was not a success under Tortorella. Thank you, Corey. This was not a success under Tortorella because I didn't win the Stanley Cup. I'm like, you absolute potato. They were going nowhere with Bruce Cassidy. They wouldn't have got out of a round 1 series against Utah if Cassidy was still the coach. Tortorella took them 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. My answer to the should they bring Tortorella back is if he wants to come back, then I believe he should come back. He's 67 years of age. It looked like he was having a whole lot of fun. I think that he was. It's funny because I had a call this morning with my sponsor, Bob. He said, what did you think of Tortorella saying to that reporter his question was the dumbest he's ever heard? I'm like, that's just John Tortorella. Whatever. I have not met the man. I'm not going to pass judgment on the man ever, or at least not until I meet him. But that is the one thing. The reporter's asking, did you think of putting Aiden Hill in late in Game 5? And he's like, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard. Christ, that's the dumbest question. That might be the dumbest question I've heard. Guys are just trying to do their jobs. That's the one thing that I don't like about Tortorella or some of the other coaches. And I'll say it, Daryl Sutter. If we want to talk about respect in the game of hockey, the guy's just asking a question. Show the man a little respect. You want it. You want respect. Why can't you give it? That's all. Johnny Lazarick is the guy from The Athletic that asked the question. I know him. Good guy. So I don't like that. But that's just career media guy. I mean, I get where the coaches are coming from. They're blowing off steam. But the guy's just asking a question. So, yeah, we could sit here for the whole entire segment, but Jared's coming in next to talk hockey with us, and I can put it to him on whether John Tortorella should come back. And by the way, we had a little fun with this because hour 1 is the Canadian Sports Hour with the Canadian flair. But there's a lot of Canadians watching this on Silver State Sports, they tell me. So I just threw out this question. Who will be the next Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup? Because it's a really big deal in Canada that no Canadian team has won since 1993. And frankly, a lot of people have responded and saying it'll never happen again. The best players are fleeing. The tax situation's bad. I don't know. But I don't want to go down that road. My answer to that is Montreal. They certainly look like the closest now. So for anybody who would like to weigh in on that, 902-518-3033, should the Golden Knights bring back John Tortorella, and who will be the next Canadian team? It's going to happen. I believe it is going to happen. The team best positioned to do it is the Montreal Canadiens, but I'm open to debate. That's what's fun about this show, which is another thing. Jordan Staal won the Conn Smythe Trophy, and for 3.5 series, nobody was really mentioning Jordan Staal's name as a potential Conn Smythe Trophy winner. As a matter of fact, after round 2, who were the names? Cudahat, Mitch Marner, obviously. Taylor Hall was having a hell of a playoff, led them in scoring, but it was Staal that won it. So I just kind of sit back and go, I get the idea of sports talk. Believe me, I've been doing it a while. I get it. But what an absolute waste of energy to sit around and talk about who do you think it'll be, and what if Carter Hart wins, and will Bettman let it. It didn't matter. It didn't matter in the end. But that's sports talk for you. So, anyways, 902-518-3033. Thank you for the reminder in my mind. A carryover from last hour. I want to address this question from Vancouver Eric, and I guess it was our second point in the Canadian Hour was week 2 coming out of the Canadian Football League. It was a bigger deal than it should be, and I knew that was going to start a crap storm, that I would go to the CFL game in Saskatchewan, the team for which I worked for 20 years, as a guest of the visiting team, the BC Lions, who have just been treating me first class for a long time, like over probably a year now. Some of our sponsors have come from Vancouver, like Uniglobe Carefree Travel, which, by the way, the owner, I don't know if he's the owner or not, he runs it, Neil Chark, said, we got to get this cruise sold out. He said that to me on the weekend. I said, we'll get it sold out. Score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale on February 20th, 2027. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel. His email is NEAL, Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. So, went in with the team, was treated great, hung out with them at the team hotel before the game. All of that was awesome. I'm going to be going out to Vancouver later in the summer for a game there, August 23rd, and it's going to be awesome at BC Place, which is hosting World Cup games right now. And so Vancouver Eric, who's a daily viewer, a P1 viewer, as I call him, Priority 1, he wrote in and he said, can you do a show from out here? And I'm like, that is the plan. That's the plan for a variety of reasons. But in my mind, I feel like I'm going to get out there and I'm going to want to stay out there. I'm not going to want to come home for a while. So the day after the game, I'm going to be doing a show from Vancouver, but I didn't plan on it being any big production. But I'll have my stuff, similar to what we did Friday from the car dealership, which was amazing at Western Dodge. So, yeah, I didn't tell the Lions that. They didn't ask. They were playing a football game. They're a little busy. But, yeah, I'll be out there, Vancouver. We're going to be doing a show from Vancouver on the Monday, August 24th. I don't know from where. I was kind of thinking my hotel room, but maybe, I don't know. One day at a time. So I've split point 2 into 2 points. Just because it's summer, it's a really big deal, and some of our viewers enjoyed in Vegas and Nevada because they're football fans there. Canadian Football League, Week 2. Here are your scores. From Thursday, Hamilton went into Winnipeg and won 37-27. Friday night, Chad Kelly threw for 445 yards and 3 tuds, and his Toronto Argonauts still lost in Montreal, 37-30. And then the game that I was at went right down to the last minute. It was epic, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders beat the BC Lions 31-27. So I did send a note to the owner, Amar Doman. I said, tough one. Thanks for the ticket. See you in August. And he said, perfect. For some reason, he likes me, and I appreciate that. And we talk a lot. He's a good guy, shaking things up. That's the first of point 2. The other is this. It's World Cup. And I'm kind of enjoying this. I'm kind of starting to see why people love it so much. Let me read the script. I can't even say these countries' names, just so you know. But Curaçao's Lavano Comencia provided a highlight and hope for the smallest country in World Cup history. Germany then responded to Curaçao's first World Cup goal with an onslaught of scoring, turning an expected rout into an actual rout. with a 7-1 win on Sunday in Houston. Curacao got a memory that won't soon be forgotten in the island nation of about 156,000 people. Germany rallied after Curaçao's tying goal, earning the start it wanted after it failed to get out of the group stage in the previous 2 World Cups. Later Sunday, Ivory Coast pulled off arguably the biggest upset so far in the World Cup, beating Ecuador on Amad Diallo's goal in the 90th minute in Philadelphia. Canada, I don't even know the terms. Can I use just a hockey term? Canada tied Bosnia-Herzegovina 1-1 Friday for their first ever point in World Cup history. Ooh. And the USA slapped around Paraguay 4-1. I mean, this is the other part. I don't mind saying it. And I know, guys, we just passed 111, but I'm on a roll here. I don't miss this. Justin Trudeau is at SoFi Stadium in L.A. with his squeeze, Katy Perry, and all of Canada's up in arms. How dare he not be in Canada, the country for which he was the prime. It's similar as me going to the damn Rider game of the BC Lions. Who cares? We can do what we want, and so can Trudeau. God, what is wrong with people? The fact that he went Justin, and I'm not even a Justin Trudeau fan. I met him. He came out and practiced with the Roughriders when I was there on the lawn of Parliament in Ottawa. Not a bad guy. He had to come out and make a statement that he was there supporting his girlfriend, Katy Perry. Like, who wouldn't? Producer Corey says, they can have him. And his socks. Yeah, no, Jeff the Stamps fan. I'm not even reading that dumb comment from you. Terry from Calgary. Terry the lawyer writes in. He says, hey, RP, I just read Rod Black's autobiography. A great read. Seems like a good guy. A Winnipegger. So no surprise. Rod Black is mint. And he was on this show a couple of months ago promoting that book, Cut to Black. The original play-by-play voice of the Toronto Raptors when they got their expansion team in 1997. He was the first ever voice of it. You know what? Oh. Carlos in Indiana writes in, and John Ohm, too, says, there's Rod's rant. I don't even feel like it was a rant. It's just people. Back off. Back off. If the guy wants to go to watch USA with Katy, what the business is it of yours? Or me going to a Rider game as a guest of the BC, like literally, it's been 7 years since I was the voice. Like some guy was like, you're better than this. For real? Because I was thanking the BC Lions. I said, just because I thanked them isn't a slap in the face to the other team. Pull your head out of your ass. 902-518-3033. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes, and he says, I can't explain why I was cheering for the Vegas Golden Knights, but I'm happy for the Carolina Hurricanes. They deserved to win. Thank you, Wayne. You're the same as me. I've been following Rod Brindamore's career since 1988 when he won a Centennial Cup with the Notre Dame Hounds. He's just a great guy, Rod the Bod. This was like the first Stanley Cup final in my life. I think that I would have been happy for both teams. Mind you, I'd have been happy for the Oilers when they were playing Florida too, for sure. You always got friends with every team. But yeah, I'm just sad it's over. Jeff the Stamps Fences. I could care less what Trudeau does. I just don't want to hear about it. Wasn't even his fault. But I'm sure he was not okay with the fact that it was national news that he was videoed in the suite with Katy Perry and they were snuggling up. Oh, my God. Arlen Bruce. Yo, RP, I get the same thing when I step on a basketball court. They say aren't you a football player? Keep doing you. Thank you. We'll be right back with Jared Dumba.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports. Game Plus streaming, YouTube Live, podcast, WQVZ. Our guest segment's brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca or call 306-985-0050. Okay, Jared Dumba is here, our hockey analyst, for one final time, I think, for the summer. Jared, before we get to all these delicious questions I have for you, you stood up last night at the table when the game was over, and you said, okay, time for... I don't know what. Have you figured out what you're going to do with hockey season over now?
Well, number one will be comb through every single player that's going to be in the draft. Watch videos of. I sit around nightly and watch videos. Try and guess where guys are going to go. Comb through NHL teams, what they got in the cupboards in their minor leagues, who they've drafted recently, and then then the draft goes on. You got a little bit of free agency, and then there's just that summer doldrum of just almost nothing for a couple of months. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I'll just, same as always, I'll go stir crazy for a couple of months, but it'll be okay. We'll make it through.
Okay, so we'll bring you on as a draft preview. We got that sorted. And then a free agent recap. And then, yeah, that's when all the hockey guys go to the lake. So maybe go to the lake. Well, the poll question here before we get into the game itself and the series and all the other things, brought to you by Country Thunder. Biggest party this summer coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th. Get your tickets at countrythunder.com/SK. Should the Vegas Golden Knights bring John Tortorella back next season? I'd love to get your take on that.
Well, I was surprised hearing that he might not be back. I mean, unless who knows with McCrimmon? The guy's a genius. He might have something else up his sleeve. He might have talked to somebody else who will only come after the season. It almost sounds like what we hear. It sounds like Tortorella was just a fill-in. Now, personally, I think he's a perfect fit. I think he's changed a little bit. I think he's great for those older guys. It's great for him going from a young, struggling team to an older team that's set. It seems like it's a match made in heaven with him going there. So I would definitely bring him back. I will still be surprised if he's not back, but it almost sounds like McCrimmon's got something else up his sleeve.
Well, he was a fill-in, but I would say that it worked. And whatever decision that the Golden Knights make vis-a-vis Kelly McCrimmon, we all know, well, it'll go up through the owner. It always does, but it will be the right decision. But we're not going to know. I mean, we all know we won't know until they announce it. I'm sure Kelly knows. But the thing is, Ryan Craig sitting there coaching Henderson. He played for Kelly and Brandon. He's always going to be there. That's what I think the rub is here. Do we just want to squeeze a little more out of Torts? Because it went pretty well. Like, for those that say this was a failure because they didn't want to win the Cup, I want to wring those people's neck. He got him 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup. It was a success.
Oh, it was a huge success, and that's the old negative crowd. It's funny turning on social media after the game and everybody, wow, they lost. Vegas lost because Torts didn't get them there, or they lost because Mitch Marner didn't show up in the playoffs. Wasn't he the leading scorer? He had 2 hat tricks. He has the fastest natural hat trick in the history
He got
of the game.
them
Most
there.
points in one period.
He got them there. He got them that far.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it was a match made in heaven. Like I said earlier, Torts was great there. He's a great fit. If it was up to me, if I was in McCrimmon's chair, I'd be saying, okay, let's run that back. That worked out perfectly. Knowing that you've got a guy in Henderson where if something doesn't work out, you got Plan B there. But like you said, Rod, if McCrimmon has something else up his sleeve, it's going to be better than what we can even imagine. It's going to be the right decision. He rarely makes a wrong decision. Name one.
Who would have thought, you and I didn't put it together, that he would have Carter Hart and John Tortorella leading them to the Stanley Cup? Who? We didn't think of that. Leave it to Kelly. Anyways, there are a lot of topics here. We got to get to Babcock and the Oilers and who's going to be the next Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. I saw you saw that. I put that on Facebook. But as far as this series went, it just seemed to me that Vegas ran out of gas. To me, they looked like they did in Game 6. But take me a little deeper into what you saw through this whole series that Carolina won it in 6.
I saw the same thing. Excuse me. Game 4, 5, and 6, they just looked like they were running out of gas. Now, that being said, I mean, it's a long season. You always, in the next couple of days, we find out who the injuries were. I've seen people, kind of commenting to that. They probably had injuries. Newsflash, everybody has injuries through the playoffs. So that I don't think that's an excuse. I think that it speaks more towards the Carolina Hurricanes and how well trained they are, how good of a team they are. Every single team that you watched Carolina play, I mean, look at the first 2 rounds. Both those teams looked like they ran out of gas after the first game. Montreal, same thing, big win in Game 1, and just looked like they were out of gas. Carolina was really good at making the other team look like they were just right out of gas and had nothing left. And it happened the last 3 games against Vegas again this series.
From the audience, Jeff the Stamps fan says Tortorella did better than 30 other coaches. Scott in Vancouver says, I thought they were going to blame it on Carter Hart. Oh, some will and some are trying, but Carolina was just better. But how do you feel about this? When Kelly McCrimmon was on this show during the Olympic break, he talked about how many Olympians they had. I want to say 8, maybe 7. Carolina had nowhere near that. Like, I thought guys like Eichel and Theodore, would you blame them if they were gassed? I think McDavid and those guys were gassed. There's a lot of hockey.
That's a lot of hockey, and don't forget the series last year too. That's a lot of extra hockey where other guys are getting to go and they're going on trips for a week or 2, relaxing. getting a second win for that for the end of the season. The rest of these guys, so, you know, if you got 7 or 8 guys that are going, not only playing, but you're flying across the world and flying back, and that's a lot of extra travel. That all that takes tolls on the body. So that's definitely that would definitely play into how much energy you got left for the last series for sure.
902-518-3033. Lots of text messages have come in on the Western Dodge text line. We'll get to those later after Jared adjourns. None of them pertain to what we're talking about here right now, so we'll come back to that. There's a lot of delicious things to get into with you, and maybe we'll look ahead for Vegas and Carolina and for the rest of the NHL if we have time in this segment, but there's some other delicious things going on. Like, I will refuse to believe that the Stanley Cup isn't coming back to Canada at some point. For deep nerd talk here, a lot of people thought Saskatchewan would never win a Western Hockey League title. Since we were saying that, Moose Jaw has, Swift Current has, PA has. So I will refuse to believe that Canada can't win a Stanley Cup. But I don't know who it'll be. Who do you think it'll be?
Well, right now, the obvious answer is the Montreal Canadiens, but I'm gonna asterisk that a little bit. So you know what? I'll go ahead with Montreal, but Edmonton, and yes, you know, even Toronto, Edmonton, Toronto, Winnipeg, they're a few tweaks away. You know, Toronto just 1 year ago, obviously after losing Marner, that's a big loss. But they were only one piece away from beating the Florida Panthers and having a good chance to win the cup. All those teams, if they make the right 2 or 3 moves, they could be right there. So you know, it's not definitely 100% going to be Montreal, but if you're looking at just the trajectory right now and how well they're playing and what they did this year, I think the kind of the consensus answer would have to be the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. But, you know, there are those that I don't know if you read the comments on our Facebook page, which, by the way, everybody go follow it at The Rod Pedersen Show because we always got something fun going on there. But a lot of people said that they don't think that it'll ever be coming to Canada. And they said, again, they went through the reasons why. And I'll just say this. You can't give up hope. I'll go back to this Carolina series with Brandon Bussey, the goalie. I watched him in camp with the Florida Panthers. He was just okay. I mean, he wasn't top 3 or they would have kept him, right? I remember him because he was a southpaw, right? He could have packed his bags and shut her down after that. Who do you think when he was waived by the Florida Panthers that he knew he was going to end up starting Game 6 of the Stanley Cup and winning a ring, a ship? Like, what does that say? You never know. You never know. So do not give up hope.
Yeah, you never know who's coming up. You know, the Oilers could have a young goalie like that coming up, or the Leafs could have somebody that just, you know, over a couple of years turns into something that they never thought it was going to be. You know, that's why when I hear guys talking about prospects and they're saying, well, here's this guy's ceiling and here's what he's not going to be. You never know. You don't know what type of work guys are going to put in, if they're going to be a late bloomer. Winnipeg could have a couple guys coming along. You never know. That's why all those teams, like, they're pretty darn close, even though they didn't come close to winning it this year. It only takes 2 or 3 pieces in the NHL nowadays with the parity in the league, and you can be right back up on top. And when you look at Edmonton, you got McDavid and Draisaitl. If you somehow find a goalie, a number 1 goalie, and then just have a couple little tweaks, look out. They could be hoisting it next year.
Well, like I say, it ain't over until they come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, it's over. Until that day, I think you got to keep taking your swings. Okay, so the next one, really, we didn't spend as much time talking about this last night as I would have expected, and that is the next coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Like, you and I haven't really talked much since that Babcock thing. Wasn't it just last week that it came up, or was it the week before? Probably the week before. Whatever. It's been just a gong show. So where do you think that goes now? I would assume Bruce Cassidy is going to be made available. He might have already been. I don't know. To interview with the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. I don't know. I just get this sneaking suspicion that the Oilers are just trying to, you know, grab headlines during the finals, trying to shake it up a little bit by throwing out a name like Babcock. I would still expect that they're you know, going to get Cassidy, but who knows? If the players really do, if that stories are true and the players really do want Babs, they'll have him in, and that would be for storylines. There couldn't be a better storyline for us to talk about than if Babs gets hired. That would just be a phenomenal phenomenal for the league.
Do
All
you
the
actually
circus that would be
believe
going on in the background.
you think those stars in Edmonton want Mike Babcock? Do you believe? Come on.
I can't see it, but people have reported on it. It's such a weird thing to have a guy who hasn't won a playoff series since 2012 and to kind of make him out like he's coming in to be the savior, the best coach in the world. We all know what's happened the last couple times he's been with the team, and after not being on a bench for so long, I don't know if that's still the case. We know he's a good X's and O's guys back in the day, but you got to be able to communicate that with today's player. And if you weren't good at communicating 3 to 5 years ago, or really ever before that, how are you just going to change like that? He doesn't seem like a guy that'll just change overnight to me. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he goes in and he just plays the good guy role and takes the Oilers to a cup, but I don't see it happening.
I've said it so many times, people are probably sick of it, but it's in the news. Mike's been on this show multiple times. Mike Babcock, and I've known him since 1991, as has your dad, and you probably too. Your dad coached against him. Nowhere has he ever displayed any regret for anything he's done or apologized for anything. He just does. That's not him. So why would we think that he would now? That's number one. And number two, for the people that are watching that have a interest in coaching, Ryan Huska, the Flames head coach, told me today's player needs to know where they stand every single day to have success. And in the case of Babcock, he keeps you on edge every single day. That's not how he operates, right? It's not a fit.
No, and I started seeing this back when I was hitting the end of my career. This is a while ago, but you saw the young guys coming up, and the coach would just raise their voice at them, and they'd go in a shell, and they wouldn't be able to show up for 3 games because they'd be upset. Everybody was mad at them. Now the kids are even worse than that. The way that they're not like us, where if the coach wasn't screaming and yelling at you and calling you every 4-letter word in the book, you weren't happy because you thought he didn't care about you. It's a little different mentality than the way we grew up. So, and Babs came from that era. So it's you got to be a little more lenient on today's player. And yeah, like Huska said, they have to know exactly where they stand. There's no mind games with these guys anymore.
No, and by the way, Babcock had the success that way. I mean, I don't want people to think I'm speaking ill of the guy. He's been great to me, but that is just not the way that it is anymore. Jeff writes in from Winnipeg. He says, "I forgot Babcock didn't even make it to 1 game of the regular season with a Blue Jacket." Well, sure, but Paul in Humboldt writes in. He goes, "The Knights, big and heavy team, lose to the Canes, fast and skating team. Do copycat GMs change their rebuilding plans?" I'll tell you what, if you're copycatting Vegas, okay, you answer that, and then I'll answer mine.
Oh yeah, we see the copycats every year. I mean, the guys like McCrimmon are never going to be copycatting anyone.
No,
they're confident in themselves. They know what they're doing. But there's always going to be those 6 to 8 GMs that go, "Oh, that's what we got to do now," and they're going to try copycat. I was saying to somebody last night after I left, just texting with someone, and I was saying, I wonder how many people are going to be calling up goalies that had just recently played in the East Coast Hockey League or their American League goalies, just to see what they can do for a weekend now, after watching what Bussy did and knowing that guys like, Andrew Hammond and Bennington and those types of guys have done it fairly recently. I bet we could see a lot more of that. And you might see, it might make it exciting. You might see a couple of stars traded where guys are just trying to round out their third and fourth lines, not a very star-studded team in Carolina. Now, you're not going to go away trading all your guys, but maybe a team or two says, "Hey, you know what? Let's round it out. That worked for Carolina. Let's try to get speedier and a little deeper."
Well, yeah, and I know the fans love to talk about this. I mean, you and I are not personnel people, or we would be working in the league. But what I think is, with Paul saying, "Will they copycat these guys?" And now, the comment still sits there. I feel the copycats will never be successful. If you're not the one blazing the trail, you're not going to win, ever. So if they want to copy these teams, go ahead. It's not going to work.
Yeah, no, that I 100% agree, and that's why those, like I said, there's usually about 6 or 8 GMs that do that every year. None of them ever win the cup. It's the guys who go, know what their organization has. They bring in the right coach for the type of players they have. They bring in, they know what they got, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And they play to their strengths. They don't worry about what anybody else is doing. If you're worried about what everybody else is doing, you're not going to do the right thing for your own squad.
Jeff in Winnipeg's got some great comments. I haven't seen him for a while. Hey, Jeff, welcome back. He says, McCrimmon has been putting great teams together since his days in Brandon. Hard not to copycat what he does. Yeah, but nobody could copycat him there, and nobody's going to be able to copycat him in the NHL. That's the whole point. He's like Roddy Piper, literally. Just when you think you have the answers, I change the questions. That's McCrimmon, man. If you guys keep chasing, you're always going to be chasing. What else is on your mind? What did I not get to? I feel like I got to everything.
Just NHL draft coming up. That's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of different ideas on who's going to take who. Obviously, I think they've announced now that McKenna's going to go first overall to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But there's a big, the next 9 picks are basically up in the air after that. So that's going to be one that I'm really counting on, really to see. Where does Keaton Veroff go? Where does Stenberg go? Does he fall to Chicago? Does Connor Bedard finally get his studded left winger on his line? There's so many little storylines that go on. And this year, are we going to see a trade? Would someone like the San Jose Sharks trade down to the 4th, maybe 4th or 5th pick? So it's a lot to watch. There's a lot to watch, seeing what's going to go on there. There could be some trades during the draft. So that right now that becomes my biggest focus personally. It's going to be
all right. Well, everybody,
as
you can see, everybody, Jared is on top of it. Thanks for your efforts all season, Jared. We'll be talking soon. It's been fun.
Thanks, brother. We'll chat soon.
The Tulsa King, Jared Dumba. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. You're watching the RP Show on Silver State Sports and Game Plus streaming.
For a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
Your man is working hard. He's worth a team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center.
Now.
The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at SaskTix.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It has been a fantastic start to the week, so I want to thank you all for that. It's just gone in terms of my mood, wouldn't you say, producer Corey? It has, so thank you. And the comments, yeah, they're fantastic, but I'm going to save them for overtime. And maybe before that, if I get through the sports update first. Okay, it's brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. It's where I get all my gear. I got this Blue Jays shirt there. I got that Golden Knights hoodie from there, which that thing doesn't owe me anything, as my mom would say. I wore the hell out of that thing, and I will as well. Moving forward, probably won't wear it in Florida, though, because it is warm as a mother. And I'm also very happy. I got a text message from my neighbor Fish in South Florida. I said, take my car out for a rip. Start that thing up. It needs to get going. So he texted me and he goes, hey, your place is fine. We call what he calls the car Missy. Long story. Missy's running fine. I'm like, oh, good, okay. So the last thing I need is to go home and my car not start because I've been sitting in the Florida heat all summer. So it's all good. Okay. Sports update. I know the comments are great, man. I wouldn't ask you to wait if I didn't have a good reason. Sports update. Brewers ace Jacob Mizorowski yet again broke his own record for the fastest pitch of the pitch tracking era, throwing a 104.5-mile-an-hour fastball in Friday's 6-0 win over the Phillies as part of one of the greatest pitching performances in MLB history. The Miz struck out 15, walked none, and allowed just one hit in the 95-pitch shutout, a near-perfect game that continued his historic hot streak. This is where I want to say all the other sports, but I can't even get to all the other sports. Lewis Hamilton won Sunday's Barcelona Catalunya Grand Prix for his first Formula One victory since joining Ferrari last year, and his record extending 106th overall. Hamilton's triumph snapped a 5-race winning streak for Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli, who suffered mechanical failure with 4 laps to go. Bud Cauley is a winner at last, holding off the field on Sunday at the Canadian Open for his first PGA Tour victory in his 239th start, which had been 5th most among active golfers without a win. Now, Moose was there. Mrs. Moose is with Golf Canada. That's their Super Bowl. So he was there all weekend, so I got to get that in there. And the U.S. men's national team, soccer, entered the World Cup with numerous question marks, and it's probably fair to say higher hopes than expectations. They left Friday's opener in L.A. with nothing less than the most emphatic win in team history, 4-1 over Paraguay. Canada earned its first ever World Cup point in a 1-1 draw with Bosnia-Herzegovina. So, listen, I am down for all these sports going on. Believe me, I am. But do not expect me to follow them all. Like I said, they were fighting on the lawn of the White House, UFC. I just can't. There's not enough time. But having said all of this and talking about Moose, I was on the phone with him this morning. He and I are going to do this live stream together of the Canada-Qatar soccer game through the crypto casino, the European crypto casino BC game. Follow all my social media channels for the link to watch the live. They're running a marathon through the whole tournament. But they just happened to bring me and Moose on as the Canadian guys. And I said, where are you going to be Thursday? He goes, L.A. I said, what are you doing? Los Angeles? And he goes, oh, yeah. He's flying down there. I'm like, oh, it's June, right. USA Flag Football National Championships. And Moose is part of the broadcast crew and production team doing that. So it's all our friends. Moose and I started doing that in 2023 for Team USA Football. He's on his way to L.A. to do that. It's going to be the Canadian men's national team flag football against the U.S. men's national team flag football in L.A. And so Moose is there for the weekend, but he's going to come on this live stream. For him, it'll be Thursday afternoon from Los Angeles. So everybody's got stuff going on. We didn't even talk about flag football. And there's WNBA, and there's all this. It's not a bad thing, but we literally only have 2 hours. And the reason I'm kind of pushing this off for the comments, it has to do with a story coming out of the weekend that I went to the CFL game in Saskatchewan in the stadium for which I broadcast the games for 20 years. And the opposition team, the BC Lions, invited me to go with them. So I did. And, I mean, listen, I'm fine with the crap storm. I'm okay with it. But a lot of people are not, and the viewers have some thoughts on how this is played out. So I'll get to that and anything else you'd like to discuss in the final segment of the day when we come back overtime here on Silver State Sports.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, an amusement park for hockey players. If you're like me and Jared and you're like, oh, hockey's over, you can go shoot pucks until your heart is content. $20 an hour at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They got several lanes, all kinds of things going on. Baseball has batting cages. The golfers go to driving ranges. Why would you not go to a shooting lane place like Overtime Hockey Lanes? That's what we do. We've been with them for years. It's a great association. And they're in Calgary, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Yeah, Calgary and I used to hate each other, and now we're good. So, Utah, Darren, I'm going to get to your comment first, and I'm not going to address this after today. It's just that it's the last day coming out of the weekend. So, went to the Saskatchewan Roughriders BC Lions game Saturday at Mosaic Stadium, nearly sold out, had a great time, went as a guest of the visiting team, the opposition for the team that I worked for 20 years. Not a big deal. We're getting along great. They're bringing in our sponsors, friends. It's all good. It's all positive. And there is, as usual, a small fraction. Most fans weren't mad about it, but there were some that were making some really, really horrible comments about how could I go in? You forgot where you came from. Don't you forget your... Utah Darren writes in, he says, hey, Rod, I spent today just listening, but my grandpa always told us to dance with the one that brought you. So tell the haters to piss off. That's pretty much what I've been doing all day today, and also put it on in my column as well, which you can always read at rodpedersen.com. And I'll get to you Winnipeg Jets fans in a second about your goalie, but I put it there. The Monday morning goalie. Noni writes in from Calgary. She says, hey, Rod, glad you enjoyed yourself at the Rider BC game on Saturday. It was an electric atmosphere. You do have every right to be a guest of BC. Well, ain't nobody around here paying me, which is the whole other thing. Can we all just move on? And she says, and really, who cares what Justin Trudeau does now? Have a great day. See, that is the thing. I shouldn't allow myself to be as annoyed that I have been. Yeah, so Justin Trudeau was with Katy Perry at the U.S. men's national team soccer game. People, Canadians go, you should have been here. You're from Canada. Get a life. Bob in Medicine Hat writes in. He says, g'day, Rod. Bob from Medicine Hat watching your awesome show. What a terrific win on Saturday at Mosaic. You have a great day, my friend. I am having a great day. David number 2 from Winnipeg writes in. He says, hey, Rod, proud to be a member of the Rod Squad. These Rider fans who are up in arms that you went to the game at the invite of the Lions need to give their heads a shake. Your association with the Riders is ancient history, which, by the way, I'm okay with, and I think they're okay with. You have moved on. It's like being born again. That is your former life. Keep enjoying your life. David, you couldn't be more right. And the thing is, I told the Lions, because I'm not giving you all the guts of the inside of how this all went down, other than I said I wasn't going to go to the game. They're like, do you go to the games? No. We have a doubleheader with the Millers that I'm skipping to come here with you guys tonight. So thank you for the invite. I wouldn't be here normally because walking into that stadium, I said to my coach, Lisa, in Florida, I said, it's like walking in 33,000 of your exes in there. And I said, the way I'm going, I'm going to have 33,000 exes. But it was very unnerving. But the Lions were great about it. They're like, you're with us. And I'm not looking for a job. It's the video that I posted of the entrance of the teams and everything had 33,000 views within 5 minutes. Like, they know what they're doing. Vintage Sasko writes in and says, hi, Reverend Rod and Jared. It's been asked over and over, but is the Stanley Cup really the hardest trophy to win in sports? Big Six, baby, signed the Yellowgrass Wheat Kings. That's code for Sioux line talk, but I saw it on the broadcast the other night. They said the hardest trophy to win. I'm like, what have I been saying for a real long time, guys? Just go with it. Well, for the longest time, I think we would all agree, I felt the World Series was by far the hardest trophy to win with the limited amount of teams that made the playoffs. They've expanded the field, so it's not as hard. And we got to remind ourselves this is the toughest pro trophy to win because the junior hockey ones are really difficult, and you all know why. So I'm still going to say the World Series. You're talking about Super Bowl, Larry O'Brien. So what are we at? Oh. Corey's telling me, give me cues here. So anyways, you let me know. Anyways, I'm going to say to this day that it's still the World Series. But the hockey people want to say that it's the Stanley Cup. And I mean, I am a hockey person. I don't believe it, but it's not something I'm willing to argue about. Let them think it. Oh my God. They're all hard to win. How about that? You know, we sit here, DeBuck is great because we sit and talk about this all the time. It's hard to win one game. It's hard to win a regular season game, let alone a championship. They're all hard. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that today? By the way, I never did get to the NFL camps, and I meant to, but I guess Fernando Mendoza is doing well in Vegas at their mini camp. Tomorrow, we'll be joined by Zig Fracassi, Sirius XM NFL Radio. Maybe we'll tell the stories about when I went to visit Sig in New York. Works on the same studio as Howard Stern, or same floor. Howard has his whole own wing, and everybody else is out on the other side. That was a great day. So there's a lot to get into with Zig Fracassi tomorrow. Scruffy will be back again to rage bait you. Well, he will be in hour one. For all our viewers in Silver State Sports, you can tune in an hour early, noon Eastern on YouTube and the Game Plus streaming channel, and you'll get all of that, the Canadian sports section. We do that every day at noon Eastern. So anyways, it's a great start to the week. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your support. That's why you're here. We're doing it all together. That's the name of the game. Thank you, producer Corey, Jared today, and Scruffy. And we'll do it all again tomorrow on the RP Show.
That